A tale of two orgasms. Terribly sorry. However, today's Sing the Score is a setting of Io vorrei morire. Yes, How I Wish to Die, a famous poem by Maurizio Moro, which Monteverdi set in his fourth book of madrigals in 1603. This is a book that we've encountered twice in this series before. It really is one of the great a cappella volumes of that time or any time. And this piece begins and ends fairly indisputably with a graphic musical description of what the French like to call la petite mort, the little death. I was recording a BBC programme on this fourth book of madrigals once, and we got to this piece and I said, Io vorrei morire, 2 musical orgasms in 3 minutes. Damn these Italians. And the producer knocked on the window and said, I'm not sure we can say orgasm on Radio 3, but I'm not sure. So she went off to check. I went and had a little espresso. And she came back and said, "No, it's okay. You can say orgasm, but you can't say damn these Italians." So there you go. Singing a madrigal overtly about sex is nothing to be embarrassed about. It's all part of growing up and being Italian. Let's look at the poem itself.
Sì ch'io vorrei morire, ora che bacio, amore, la bella bocca del mio amato core. Ai, cara e dolce lingua, datemi tanto umore, che di dolcezza in questo sen mi stingua. Ai, vita mia, a questo bianco seno, stringetemi finch'io venga meno. Ai bocca, ai baci, ai lingua, torna a dire, sì ch'io vorrei morire.
So the first thing we should say about that, and indeed Monteverdi's musical response to it, is that it's not in any sense coy or saucy English seaside postcard. There's a cultural reference to look up. It's as real as anything else he wrote. And this is why his music is sung so much 400 years after it was written. It's so viscerally powerful. It's also so well balanced, it flows beautifully. And the piece is so full of invention as well. You'd have thought that by 1600, every single cliche for setting desire had been used, but Monteverdi comes up with new ideas for that in this piece. So, after the initial musical outburst, Monteverdi reduces the tension and takes us back to starting energies so he can set the whole thing up again. And you'll feel this anyway, but if you like a bit of Renaissance musical theory, and who doesn't, what he's doing is he's going from sharp keys into flat keys deliberately, because for Renaissance thinkers, going up the circle of fifths into sharp keys, where he's ended here A major with 3 sharps, implies tension, and going back down the circle of fifths towards the flatter keys implies relaxation. Which in musical terms is a sort of après-coitus musical cigarette or a post-poke smoke.
Oh yes, got him again. Would you look at that, a cheeky little mot juste from the York medium pacer, right down the corridor of indecency, nipped off a length, spat up out of the rough, and that's really done for him. Real sting in the tail here, marvellous.
Then Monteverdi works his first bit of real expressive magic. The words are, ai, care dolce lingua, dear and sweet tongue. And in what's a real oral equivalent of a sort of erotic filmed scene, so I'm told, Monteverdi lets us hear the entwined tongues and kisses one on top of each other, creating pleasurable clusters of sound that just melt into each other. And having taken the texture up that way, he does a similar thing on his way down. You're probably getting the sense now that this isn't some piece for large choirs to sing out in enormous concert halls or even small consorts. This is a piece of intimate pillow talk, and it's one way in which recorded music can sometimes be better than the live option. Then Monteverdi says, "Ah, my love, my life," with a simple, repetitive texture of 3 parts. Again, the lines entwining like limbs with their repetitions. Then it's there, stringetemi, ah, squeeze me, which the lines do. Firstly, the soprano leaning on the second soprano, and then the lower voice is going the other way. Finch'io venga meno, until I faint. Although in modern Italian it can also mean disappoint, which probably makes more sense. Then to finish, an unstoppable build of harmonic and physical energy. Which then leads to the second coming, the music gradually deflating to its exhausted end. Damn these Renaissance Italians. This isn't an easy piece, but it's not the very hardest either, and it is worth the time. So do go backwards and forwards, check the Italian, use the functions to get very familiar with it, and then enjoy having a full sing through and enjoy this real moment of musical invention from 1600. The recording comes from one of 5 Monteverdi CDs Ifagellini has made, and which I'm still very fond of. There are such treasures of repertoire here and such singing from colleagues. You'll be super aware of initiatives like this happening at the moment because most of us are in lockdown. We're also doing a live interactive thing called SingTheScore Extra. Send us an email if you'd like to be included on the mailing list for that. When the lockdowns stop, the likelihood is that concerts won't be able to go back to the format we all know and love for really quite a long time, and that's how groups like ours make a living. And with all of us getting so much content free online, that leaves performing groups in a very difficult place. So we're going to ask that if you can afford to, you pay a little something towards these, or joining Ifagellini's friends if you prefer. If you can't, and of course times are hard, please just enjoy it and share it with a choir you know. Lastly, if you're watching this on Facebook and that little button down there saying subscribe isn't working, that's because it's a YouTube button and you're on Facebook. Simply go to ifagellini.com/singthescore and you can subscribe away. See you next Friday, but first, here's Greg Skidmore with The Warning.
This magical contains multiple orgasms, and Ifagellini is not responsible for any pleasure experienced during its performance.